The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the Constitution authorities must act in accordance with the provisions enshrined in our Constitution. It governs on the principle of rule of law. The judiciary in India is separate, independent, and impartial, that is, entirely separate from the legislature and executive. The judiciary performs the role of an adjudicating authority, delivering justice to society. In addition, it prevents the administrative abuse of power by both legislative and executive bodies. The Constitution, under Article 368, confers powers to the Parliament to amend the Constitution. The concept of the basic structure doctrine stipulates that the amendment made by the Parliament must not affect or destroy the basic structure of our Constitution. It suggests that the Parliament or the state legislatures must not amend laws that are inconsistent with our fundamental rights enshrined under Part 3 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court and High Courts have the power of judicial review under Article 32 and Article 226 of the Constitution of India. The power of judicial review enables courts to declare laws to be unconstitutional and invalid if it is against our fundamental rights. The judiciary stands as a pillar to protect the constitutional values and ethics that may be in jeopardy. It is the machinery to prevent laws that are derogatory and are violative of fundamental rights under Part 3 of the Constitution of India. The amending power of the Constitution is extra-constitutional in India, that is, it developed gradually through judicial decisions. The Article 368 of the Constitution empowers the Parliament to amend the Constitution. In the initial stages, the power to amend the Constitution was a constituent power that meant the Parliament had unlimited power to amend the Constitution as well as our fundamental rights. In Shankari Prasad versus Union of India and Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, the Supreme Court held that the Parliament exercised constituent powers and could amend the Constitution as well as our fundamental rights. However, Justice Hidayatullah and Justice Madholkar had given a dissenting judgment in the latter case, claiming that the fundamental rights play an integral part in the Constitution and the Parliament amending them would be beyond their powers. The dissenting opinion had a majority approval in I.C. Golaknath versus State of Punjab that overruled the previous judgments. The Parliament's power to amend were imposed a substantive restraint that allowed only limited power, and no authority had the power to amend the fundamental rights that are considered to be inseparable and transcendental. In Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, the final settlement in the matters of Article 368 of the Constitution was made. The Supreme Court, consisting of a 13-judge bench, modified the earlier judgment and declared that the fundamental rights are an integral part of the Constitution and therefore immunity to Part 3 of the Constitution was granted. Although the Parliament has the power to amend the Constitution, the basic structure of the Constitution must not be changed or altered. The court further stated that the preamble is a part of the Constitution. Thus, in this case, the doctrine of basic structure was developed and established. The doctrine of basic structure was applied in Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narain, where an appeal was filed by the Prime Minister for seeking the right to take part in elections, which were partially suspended for alleged electoral malpractice. The appeal was filed for a complete stay of suspension. The court applied the basic structure doctrine, citing Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, stating that democracy is the basic structure of the Constitution and no person, however mighty he or she may be, cannot go against the principle of rule of law. In Minerva Mills versus State of Tamil Nadu, the Supreme Court, through the doctrine of basic structure, held that the Parliament has certain limited power when exercising Article 368 and must ensure that it does not affect the basic features and fundamental rights. In addition, there must be a balance between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policies to keep amendment from judicial scrutiny. In conclusion, the rule of law suggests that no person or individual is above the law. Our Constitution imparts this principle in itself, being the supreme law of the land. The judicial machinery plays an important role for securing and protecting the basic Constitution values and preserving the intention of the Constitution makers. The Supreme Court of India, an independent and impartial institution, was established and the basic structure doctrine with a view to limit the parliament's amending power from exercising beyond its means and necessity. The extra-constitutional aspect of this doctrine evolved over time, and the judiciary was successful in sustaining the values of democracy and rule of law.